Glenn, if I remember correctly, played a Tama kit. When I first met Matt, he was playing that orange, which was a really bizarre sounding amp. The combination of that amp and whatever guitar he was playing and his style of playing created this like completely unique guitar sound that was like fuzzy and edgy and, you know, unlike any other tone. I'm pretty sure he played through my Marshall cabinet, but as far as the head goes, you know, we were talking and he seems to think it was a Marshall head, but I think it might have still been some sort of orange deal. With Danny, Danny said he played a GK. Danny played Mesa for most of the stuff that I've worked with him. I can't remember if he seems to think he had a GK on this record. So I can't remember if it was a GK or a Mesa. They all got together in the room, about 4 or 5 feet away from each other, and knocked it out live. The whole thing in its entirety was done in less than a week, less than 7 days. Now that was spread out with about, I'd say, instrument tracking, probably like 3 days, and then we had to wait to do Matt's vocals so his voice could recover from the tour. And then he came in and just nailed it, like all of them, in one day. One of the most amazing vocal performances I've ever seen in my life. I remember Glenn and I looking at each other going like, it's like, wow. I think Heather might have been in the room too, but we were just like looking at each other going like, wow, that's incredible. And then it was probably mixed in about a day or two, you know. The band was playing live in the room, loud, and the tubes in Matt's amplifier were a little microphonic. So anytime Glenn would lay into a snare drum, you hear a sound that sounded very similar to an anvil being hit. You hear it throughout the record. Here's one example. It really is an interesting thing, like, because I've never been in this position before where you're remixing something that was so loved, and you don't want to mess with something that's already really, really cool, you know. But at the same time, you're hoping, you know, my thoughts in my head are like, I know there's things that can be done better on this, you know. I think the balances of everything, for the most part, on the original, I think it's balanced well. I think it's mainly a thing of it being tonally a little narrow sounding and wanting to just, you know, bring a little bit more solid low end into it, a little bit just wider, lower, higher, that kind of thing. You know, just kind of expand it out a little bit, if that makes sense. The original format in which it was done was these guys, these original ADAT machines, which are very crappy sounding machines, and it was mixed onto this, which is a very crappy sounding DAT machine. And so the mirror, and that starts to add up as far as like the crappiness factor kind of adds up. And then so the mirror fact that it's being remixed using higher quality equipment, I think, is just in general just going to make it sound just a little bit better. Say it's not going to sound like it was cut in a big studio, you know, because it wasn't. You know, it was done live in a storefront. That's what that wasn't. That place wasn't even a real studio, you know. But I plan on using the original as a reference a lot, just because I don't want people to be like pissed off or anything by the remix. You know what I mean? I think it's mainly just trying to get it to be just a little bit higher fidelity. You can remix it and keep the integrity of it, because so much of that is already on the tape already. It's the performances, obviously, and most of the tones are. A lot of the tones are outstanding on here. Like Danny's bass is really cool, and Matt's guitar stuff. Matt has a completely different guitar sound now, but this was that guitar sound. The guitar sound that's on this record is like that's part of that era of the band. You know, it kind of like in many ways it's like kind of identifies that era of the Alkaline Trio. So. The predominant thing was we had a great time. We truly were having like a blast because there was no pressure at all. We were just happy to be doing it. I was a huge fan of the band. They were thrilled to be making a full length for Asian Man, and we just had an awesome time. And I think it kind of shows in the music. You know, I think there's a real like joy in the vibe of the record. You know? I like all the records I've done with the band, but Goddamnit, I think I have the fondest memories of, because I think for me it encapsulated everything that was great about the band. And I think the performances are amazing. I think the songs are amazing. And it really is my favorite Alkaline Trio record. Gunga Galunga. Gunga Galunga.